Hey there, Dr. Mark here, and today I'm going to be showing you exactly how nutrition coaches should be calculating macros in their online nutrition coaching. Nutrition coaches are changing the world one client at a time. We use the science of nutrition and the art of coaching to create actionable plans that transform the people we work with. One of the big components of being a nutrition coach is getting a sense of how much and what someone should be eating to reach their goals. Once you establish that, you can set a basic structure and start coaching someone towards their goals. Much of this starts with gathering some basic information and calculating someone's energy demands, which is essentially how much energy they should be consuming to maintain their body weight, but also where this energy comes from, someone's macronutrient intake, which is essentially the large components of our food that provide calories, protein, carbs, and fat. There are several different equations out there that can help you estimate someone's energy needs. Some are more accurate, some are less accurate, and some require very specific information that you might not have access to. And also, as a quick side note, although this is a video about setting macronutrient intake, remember we need to know someone's calories and how much energy they are consuming to set macronutrients because it's based on that. But back to the calculations. One thing that consistently comes up when I'm training new nutrition coaches is that although these calculations create a starting point, they aren't always that accurate, and they definitely don't apply to everyone. All these nutrition calculators are great, but the people I'm working with don't really fit these calculators. Then you're going to want to pay attention to today's video because I'm going to teach you some commonly overlooked things when it comes to setting calorie and macronutrient intake. Now let's get into it. The first thing that we're going to want to do is gather general details about the individual. When you first start working with someone, the first thing you want to do is gather some basic information about them. Variables like their age, height, gender, body weight, and activity level. These will help you determine theoretically how much energy someone needs to maintain their body weight, which is sometimes known as energy balance. One of the most accessible calculations that determines this is the Harris-Benedict equation. And you can find a web-based version of this in the description below. Making this calculation will give you a basic starting point to determine how much calories someone needs and what would be optimal for the individual. The key point here is what would be optimal, and I'll explain more about that next. Next up, we want to get a better idea of someone's goals, aspirations, and then also their activities. Once you have a basic idea of how many calories would put someone in energy balance, we want to gather more information about their goals so we can prescribe a level of food that moves them towards results. Generally, someone that is looking to get leaner needs to be in a calorie deficit, which means they're taking in less energy that they're burning. And a good place to start for this is a modest 10 to 20% deficit. Conversely, someone who is looking to build muscle needs to be in a calorie surplus, which means they're taking in more energy than they're burning. A 10 to 20% calorie surplus in the other direction is a good place to start. For those people that don't have body composition related goals, meaning they want to improve their overall health or energy levels, we want to set their calories just over maintenance. From there, knowing more about their current activities and their aspirations will allow us to assess where these calories come from, which means we're ready to set macronutrient targets. Just a reminder, remember when you're setting macronutrient targets, you're also setting them within calories because macronutrients are a function of calories. Most people looking to improve their body composition should be eating between the following ranges. For protein, the optimal range is between 1.5 to 2.5 grams per kilogram of body weight. For carbohydrate, this range is between 3.0 to 5.0 grams per kilogram of body weight. And lastly, fat is between 0.5 to 1.5 grams per kilogram of body weight. You'll notice that this fat range is a little bit lower, and that is because fat supplies nearly double the amount of calories than protein and carbs. Now that we have someone's overall calorie set, we can start to decide where do these calories come from by setting the macronutrients. We're going to always start with protein. The word protein was actually derived from the Greek word proteos, which means primary. It's the most important macronutrient, and it's important that we set it first. And next up, we'll set fat first because fat is an essential nutrient. We want to stay within the optimal range to make sure someone is getting enough essential fatty acids to maintain overall health. Since we have 2 of 3 macronutrients already set, we're going to fill the remaining calories with carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are usually set last because although they are important, they are not as vital and essential as protein and fat. Personally, in my own practice, I tend to do steps 2 and 3 at the same time when I get a better idea of how someone eats versus what the textbook says they should eat like. An important note here, don't get too wrapped up in making sure these levels are perfect right off the bat. For setting macronutrient targets, you want a realistic place to start, and then you can adjust based on the feedback you're seeing and the results someone is getting. Which brings me to, in my opinion, the most important step when setting someone's macronutrient levels, which is how they are currently eating. This is where everyone goes wrong, especially those science-minded coaches without a lot of real-world experience. Gathering information about the individual allows us to get a better sense of their goals and activities and what they're trying to accomplish, and essentially allows us to put them in a box for what we think optimal would be for them. What I want to stress to you today is that those previous values are just a reference point. What you should do with these reference values is use them to compare to what they're currently eating to get a starting point. What's the best way to do this? Get someone to track their normal intake for 3 to 5 days, typically including a weekend day when they're out of their routine, to get a better sense of what their normal nutritional habits are like right now. Your starting point should really be the difference between what they're currently doing right now and what would be optimal. When you don't do this, what typically happens is that you force a client to change way too much right at once, and it's easy for them to become overwhelmed. The art of this process is to get them to slowly and steadily move towards what we would consider optimal while getting results. This is what successfully influences behavior change and allows you to move a client towards results that they weren't able to accomplish on their own. This step-by-step process for setting macronutrients is why Dr. Mark Method students are getting real results with real people and making thousands of dollars every month. There are tons of good tutorials on how to set macronutrient targets, but hopefully this video provided you a little context on some commonly overlooked things when setting them. As great as all those tips are though, if you're really serious about starting an online nutrition coaching business, you're gonna wanna check out this next video I have linked up here. It's gonna teach you exactly how to deliver the perfect coaching check-in, which gets clients better results, but is also effective with your time. So make sure to check it out now, and I'll see you in the next video.